One of the most twisted, horrifying, and unknown backstories in all of the Fallout universe is the story behind the drilling company, the DUNWICH Borers, a play on the words referencing the Lovecraftian monster story, the Dunwich Horrors. The company produces a multitude of different rock tunneling drills that they sell off to different companies for use in drilling into the Earth's crust, and we encounter the Dunwich establishment in multiple of the games. In Fallout 4 specifically, we stumble upon the corporate entity in a giant quarry mine, where for some reason they are using their own company drills to make their own quarry. Something that they shouldn't be doing in theory, as they're just lending out equipment on their books. As you make your way down into the quarry, you read many terminal reports that the workers are complaining about constant power outages going on and off, as well as rocks being thrown from seemingly out of nowhere and taking out people's eyes. On each of the terminals, you can also see that all the Dunwich Quarry station managers are being called to the deepest station, Station 4, immediately. So you descend even deeper into this creepy underground dig site, and on your way you find many other terminal entries, detailing many strange things happening in the quarry, with the most damning of all being an entry that we simply find that is screaming over and over again, "I'm safe in the light. I'm safe in the light." By the time you make your way to Station 3, you must descend deep underground, and it is here where you are met with hordes of feral ghouls, all attacking you on sight, as well as light switches that mysteriously turn themselves on and off. Suddenly, you start to see weird visions of a cult-like ritual taking place, with a man with a knife in the center of an altar, surrounded by many others kneeling before him in a circle. And as these visions fade in and out, you finally make your way to the end of the quarry, Station 4. You find nothing but a pool of water and a missing crane, and if you leap into the water yourself, you can find not only some sweet loot, but the remains of that altar room you saw in the visions before. On top of this, you can find a half-excavated statue that points to the real reason the Dunwich Borers Company was here. They were excavating some sort of ancient statue that belonged to a long-lost civilization that was a cult of worshippers that prayed to an evil deity known as Ukultov. We know of this deity from previous games, like Fallout 3 as well, as in this game we are able to actually explore the Dunwich Borers' headquarters, which at the time we explore is in a run-down and vacant state, except for the feral ghouls on site. You learn in Fallout 3 that the Dunwich Borers were trying to unearth and communicate with this long-lost deity, and that they have unearthed some ancient relics that were seemingly turning people into feral ghouls through sacrifice. This begs the question as to whether all ghouls are actually being created through radiation poisoning, or if something much more sinister is at play. On top of this, the swamp people of Fallout 3 were also shown to be worshipping this same deity. And it also shows just how weird and mysterious the Dunwich Borers really are, as they seemingly are using their company as a front, with many of the employees not even knowing their true motives, in order to summon an ancient god back to Earth. One of the most out there and interesting entities in all of Fallout. While we do get to explore some of the most disturbing vaults in all of Fallout in the games, some have so far only been left to players' imaginations. And two of the most unbelievable of these are Vault 68 and Vault 69. Each of the vaults was performing the same experiment but reversed. In Vault 68, they were staffed with 999 men and 1 woman. In Vault 69, they were staffed with 999 women and 1 man. Each of these experiments was to see what would happen when only one of each sex was left with hundreds of the opposing. While little is known about what actually happened in these vaults, we can pick up on small tidbits we see in comments or canceled projects, or just our own imagination to paint a brutal scene. In Vault 68, the one full of men and 1 woman, it is theorized that the men started to fight amongst one another, resulting in a bloody mess, where only the most dominant of each tribe were able to have their way with the one unlucky female. Population growth would have been exceptionally slow, and any baby that the female had that was male was instantly killed off, slowly leading to the death of the entire vault as the female withered away. In Vault 69, however, where only 1 man was tasked with repopulating with 999 females, not much is known either. But it can be assumed that early on, the man would have been living out what many males would consider a fantasy, only to realize he had no male friends to confide in, slowly going insane after impregnating and repopulating much of the vault. The females, on the other hand, would have lived a mostly amazing life, free from our bullshit. Back when I was a kid, I vaguely remembered a Fallout 3 story that at the time scared me so bad it made me not want to even play the game at all. That original story was a creepypasta horror deep dive that claimed that Fallout 3 Galaxy News Radio, under certain conditions, would unravel into something truly unbelievable. The creepypasta and subsequent posts theorized that if Three Dog, the radio station owner and host, were killed, something that could actually happen in Fallout 3, along with some other small conditions, that the station would transform into a number station. For those that don't know, number stations were a real thing in the United States and other countries that were rumored to be part of a nuclear retaliation control network. Tuning into their frequencies, people were able to pick up on strange coded messages being read in a monotone voice from an apparent government official reading single-digit numbers one by one. In this creepypasta, though, it is claimed once Galaxy News Radio becomes a number station, you could hear the voice of Three Dog, now dead, slowly and eerily reading off numbers, just like this.
8, 3, 9, 1, 2, 1, 0, 0, 8, 0, 1, 0, 0, 8, 0.
Followed by the song, Set the World on Fire. Where this started to get really crazy is that some members of the community apparently began decoding some of these weird messages coming from the number station and translated them into dates and phrases. Some of these phrases spoke about the Queen's death, future Armageddon, and most weirdly, all of them seemed to be about our timeline, not the actual Fallout universe. And so the most dedicated in the community were then able to translate even more of the codes into dates, which correlated with the deaths of many important people, including Lincoln and Gary Coleman. And most frightening of all, some of the dates correlated to supposed massive events of the future that signaled death, like the dates for the coronavirus outbreak. Many of these threads were taken down as the story started to get out of hand and caused genuine concern amongst players starting to believe they were real. And this story gets even crazier, as it's been proven that there are some actual weird Morse code messages found in Fallout 3's codebase that could relate to these number stations. But it's likely that Bethesda simply patched in some weird radio chatter as a funny Easter egg for the players after the fact. That, or one of the most beloved games of all time, is actually a secret government and Illuminati front to warn us about our impending doom through predicting the future. I'm not high, I swear. In Fallout 3, there's a particularly well-hidden and unmarked quest called Our Little Secret that many people don't know about. It tells the story of the town of Andale, where the player character is told explicitly to stay away from. In the town, you're able to find a garden shed that leads to the entrance of the basement of the Smith's house, some of the local Andale residents. And it's here that you find a horrific scene, with multiple mutilated bodies cut up and displayed on cooking tables and racks. It's immediately clear to the player that this town is actually hiding a dark secret, and has been kidnapping local travelers and using their bodies to create a variety of dishes. If you confront the cannibals head-on, they will attack you on sight, but if you actually have the cannibal perk, you have a chance to sweet-talk them and join amongst their ranks. It's crazy to think that with all the horrors happening inside the vaults, it might be even scarier living outside them. After stepping into a variety of vaults in Fallout, it quickly becomes apparent that these underground lairs were host to some of the most dark and abhorrent tests in humanity's history. But one specific vault may have the most twisted experiment of them all. It's a vault that doesn't make any official appearances in the games, but it is canon based on one comic referencing it. It tells the story of one man who is tricked into entering the vault on his own, after which the door is quickly shut behind him. He pleads and screams to be let out, but no one answers his call. For months he keeps himself alive every day, praying that someone will find and rescue him, or that this sick experiment will finally come to an end. But this waiting game goes on for over a year as this poor soul is slowly starting to lose his mind and see things. But just as he is about to lose all hope, he discovers a giant box of puppets. He starts to enact different plays and scenes with them, and it gives him a jolt of energy and excitement to finally again have new friends. These scenes slowly become more and more crazy though, and he starts to associate life with the puppets, hearing them speaking to him as he descends deeper and deeper into madness. So deep into his own delusion, the man develops split personality disorder and begins to communicate through each personality with multiple puppets. And it is around this time that we discover that the vault has actually been open this whole time. The man was merely too afraid to leave on account of the bombs outside. But with his newfound personalities, he gathers the courage and escapes the vault, meeting multiple ghouls, raiders, and wildlife. One of the raider groups he meets grows suspicious and scared of the man though, worried he is actually very violent and dangerous. And well, this turns out to be true, as a puppet tells the man to kill, and he does, slaughtering all the raiders and their families, showing that the vault was not protecting this man from the dangers outside, but that the vault was protecting outside from the dangers of this man. As to whether we will ever meet this sadistic human being in a future Fallout entry, we'll just have to wait and find out. The Mysterious Stranger is a character we have seen in almost every Fallout game, from the original Interplay top-down games to the more recent Bethesda entries. But as to who this mysterious man is, no one really knows. He shows up out of nowhere in each of the games and one-shots your foes, helping the player make their way through the main quest and objectives. And just as quickly as he appears, he disappears in a flash. We know Nick Valentine in Fallout 4 was researching this stranger, but he didn't find anything big on him, simply commenting whenever he shows up. More damning evidence comes from Fallout New Vegas, where we can meet a man called the Lone Wanderer, who talks about how his mother described his father as a mysterious man who he never met. He plays the guitar, and most crazy, if speech checks are passed, will give you a gun that when holstered and unholstered plays the exact same guitar riff that we hear when the mysterious stranger appears. On top of this, the gun model is the exact same gun model that the mysterious stranger uses on their gun. The only problem with this revelation is that it still doesn't explain how this stranger appears in all the games that are set hundreds of years apart. Could it be that he has stumbled upon some power similar to the Cabot family that has given him immortality and the ability to teleport and have super strength? And if this is the case, why is this man even following our player character in every game? Does this mean that all the main characters from each Fallout game are somehow connected? Could some sort of deity be in place that is using the mysterious stranger as a vessel to guide you on your path? The possibilities are honestly endless and spawn even more questions than they answer.